Welcome back to Automotodrom Brno, ladies and gentlemen. Final two races coming up, and we are done for the tin top races. It's single-seaters, or for the rest of the day, it is now the various generations of Formula 3 cars in so-called Division 2 cars getting back from the formation lap. And it is again Benjamin Berta lining up on the front row. This is a beautiful shot, that needs to be said. Fantastic, and you can actually see how the cars are lining up on the grid. So it is Benjamin Berta on pole, alongside him Viktor Smialek in second from Sandro Zeller and Václav Šafář lining up on row number 2. Kurt Böhlen, Marcel Tobler behind them, Roman Roubíček, Andre Petropoulos in 7th and 8th. From Robert Rowe, János Magyar, Stefan Glaser, Luca Iannacone and Dr. Norbert Gröhr. My name's Pavel Fabri, I'm your commentator, and we are waiting for the race starting procedure. The red lights are off and we are underway here in Brno with Benjamin Berta seemingly not having the best of getaways. He was slow off the line, so it is now Viktor Smialek in the lead. Sandro Zeller diving down the inside. They are now going alongside one another, but look at Benjamin Berta finding such a great performance around the outside of the first corner and immediately back into the fight for the race lead. And Benjamin Berta retaking the top position so quickly. Viktor Smialek attempting to repass him, but that door closed very quickly, and it is the F320 Dallara driven by Benjamin Berta. That is quite some performance, isn't it? We've just been watching the Suzuki Swift Cup. Interesting racing, but of course the cars lapping the track in about 2.5 minutes. This is going to be way faster experience. Look at the Formula 3 machines going so quickly. Vasek Šafář on his home soil, the middle car of the three predominantly yellow machines, and it is another F320 in his hands. Raced then in Euro Formula Open. So Benjamin Berta in the lead. Kurt Böhlen signaling something from his cockpit. It's actually a great little field here, really. In the past, we've sometimes struggled to assemble enough Formula 3 cars, but now this is a great spectacle here in Brno for Masaryk Racing Days. This is like one of the older DTM weekends, or even Formula 1 with their support feeder series. And now here in Brno, not every day you get to see that in the Czech Republic. The Formula 3 cars racing so beautifully. So Benjamin Berta in the lead, already 1.5 seconds ahead of everybody else. Viktor Smialek in second from Sandro Zeller. Then we have Václav Šafář in fourth from Kurt Böhlen, Marcel Tobler, Roman Roubíček, Stefan Glaser, Robert Rowe and Andre Petropoulos completing the top 10 currently. János Magyar losing a couple of places at the start in his Formula Master car. Master, the championship that used to be contested towards the end of the noughties and very briefly into 2010s before the championship had to end. International Formula Master, that was a championship that, this is the car actually that János Magyar is driving, Formula Master car, championship that was basically contested in 2007, 8 and 9, bringing 3 champions. Jérôme D'Ambrosio, a Belgian driver that made it in the end all the way to Formula 1, where he raced for the Marussia Racing team. Chris van der Drift was the second champion in 2008, and Fabio Leimer the third one in 2009, before he went on to race in GP2. That was a season that witnessed also Alexander Rossi, a young American that also then appeared in Formula 1, or a famous Czech single-seater and now a GT driver, Josef Král, who very nearly made it to Formula 1. He was racing in GP2. His last season ended prematurely, but with a victory in Spa-Francorchamps back in 2012. And then a contract was signed for him to race in the HRT Formula 1 team for 2013. However, that team got bankrupt over the winter. So, not a good luck back then for the Czech motorsport, as the Czech Republic was about to have another driver in Formula 1, which of course these days is very hard to think about. And then regarding the Formula 3 world, we had various guises all through the history. Of course, Formula 3 that has been one of the key cornerstones, the key steps on the motorsport ladder for so many years. Bringing so many champions, and it was a basically rule book, so to say, that was valid even in 1940s, 1950s, or late 1940s, the 1950s, 60s, 70s, where teams would actually compete and build their own cars, just like in Formula 2 back then. So that was a similar championship, like Formula 1, so to say, before this became a single-seater and, most importantly, one-make championship, where it is usually Dallara or a different chassis maker like Tatus. We've also got a couple of Tatuses on the grid this weekend. And for example, the entire Formula 4 field, that's the Tatus T421, prepared by, of course, Tatus, the Italian chassis maker, but Dallara again from Italy. And we basically had one of the first one-make cars in 1980s was Ralt RT3, and then Reynard 903 in 1990s, before Dallara took over in 2000s, or the noughties, if you will, and they brought the first one, the Dallara 305, that, for example, led the likes of Lewis Hamilton or Nico Rosberg, or even later Sebastian Vettel, to championship titles. Currently, Formula 3 is, of course, raced internationally as the official Formula 3 with the current generation, and actually last weekend in Monza, the brand new car for the following seasons was introduced, again built by Dallara. It's no longer the same sort of thing like the cars that we see here, because those used to race with Mercedes-Benz engines, Volkswagen, Toyota, Opel, and Honda and other ones. Now it is Mechachrome supplying the engines, of course, with the same block, just like for Formula 2 these days. And in Formula 3, that engine is producing 380 brake horsepower. However, it is a 3.4 litre V6, which is a rather heavy engine for the Formula 3 class. Well, these cars that we are watching right now, these used to have much nimble, much more handy engine, a simple inline 4-cylinder 2 litre, and this used to be such a pretty formula and such a pretty, let's say, rule set for this level, and it was really affordable. Currently, Formula 3, apart from the international official championship, is also racing in North America, in Europe, in Japan, Asia, New Zealand, India, etc., etc., etc. And the car driven by Benjamin Berta, but not only by him. If we actually check the, let's say, group of the latest Dallara F320s, Benjamin Berta has one. So does Roman Robicek and Vasek Shafas. And these race these days in Euro Formula Open with this season bringing a rookie championship to a driver called Fernando Barrichello, by the way, and Team Motor Park. Team Motor Park, of course, fielding the vast majority of cars. There is also one Czech team, ESETCup Mělník, with Roman Robicek racing for them, and it is the same team and the same driver that has come to Brno for this weekend, and Roman Robicek currently driving and racing in 8th place. And it's been a beautiful season that still has 3 out of total 8 races to go, or let's say championship rounds. The season for Euro Formula Open started in April, at the end of April at Algarve in Portimao in Portugal, then went to Hockenheim supporting International GT Open Series, as is basically usual through the entire season. Then Spa-Francorchamps, Hungaroring in Hungary, then Paul Ricard at Le Castellet at the end of July, and the next weekend the Euro Formula Open is racing in Austria at the Red Bull Ring. After that, at the end of September, in Barcelona in Spain, and then to complete the season, Monza round in Italy at the end or second half of October. And we've got currently Brad Benavides, who used to race in Formula 2. Brad Benavides leading the championship from Francesco Simonazzi and Levente Reves. And I also mentioned Fernando Barrichello. Roman Robicek here on your screen, coming under pressure from Andrei Petropoulos, the car number 22, having a look down the inside. Other than that, it is still Benjamin Berta leading, and he also set the fastest lap of the race at 1:55.1, And Petropoulos has already got ahead of Robíček, who's trying to return him the favors around the outside. That was a wonderful fight through the opening corner. You may notice the absolute speciality about these generation of Formula 3 cars, or let's say this style of Formula 3 cars that was raced for the past 20 years or 25 years. Of course, you might notice the cannon style bomb racks at the side of the cockpits. Those, of course, being the air intakes that bring the air to the engine, because normally on a single-seater you get the air intake above the driver's head, but to keep the weight as low as possible, there is only a roll hoop behind the driver's head, which is of course mandatory, because in case the car rolls over, it can't be the driver's head to touch the ground. Another fantastic scrap between Petropoulos and Robíček. Nice battle between the two, and it is now Petropoulos coming out on top of this fight. Robíček sending it in with just under 10 minutes left on the clock. So if you notice, the cars actually only have the safety roll hoop behind the driver's head, not the air intake itself. That is the, as I said, bomb rack on the side of the car, bringing air to the engine, and then of course quite conventionally the exhausts go to the back. Speaking about the Drexel Formel Cup, that is basically the Division 2. It's a championship that started earlier on in Vallelunga towards the end of April, then went on to race in May in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, then at the beginning of June in Imola, Lausitzring in Germany towards the end of June, and then Hockenheim, Mugello, and now for this weekend in Brno. And the Division 2 is then going on to race for the season finale, round number 8, at the beginning of October in Monza. And if we keep on looking into the history of the championship, with these generation of cars, you might most importantly get back to the Formula 3 Euro Series that used to race alongside DTM weekends. I did mention the Euro Formula Open Championship. That's the current championship for the F320 Delaras, but the current official Formula 3 had its predecessor in the form of basically Formula 3 Euro Cup. Or Euro Series, if you will, which folded back in 2012. and was then replaced by the International Formula 3 Championship. And the Formula 3 International Trophy, the one that was only raced in 2011, won by Roberto Meri, who also made his way to Formula 1. In the end, the Euro Series that folded in 2012 brought so many big names. The first drivers' champion was Ryan Briscoe. We've got a yellow flag somewhere, by the way. Not really sure what's going on. We're going to have to wait and see. And we've got a safety car out. So let me just go quickly through the names that scored the victory, or scored the championship, took the championship title in the Formula 3 Euro Cup, well, it's a Euro Series. Back then, those were names like Lewis Hamilton, Paul Di Resta, Romain Grosjean, Nico Hülkenberg, Gilles Bianchi, Edoardo Mortara, Roberto Meri, and the last, of course, Daniel Chunkadea. As we are still searching for the trouble that brought out the safety car. And there it is. That's one of the cars spinning. And that might be, according to the colors, Robert Rowe, potentially, or Luca Iannacone. So we've got a safety car out with about 3 minutes left on the clock. So we might actually even finish the race behind the safety car. The race will get neutralized with Benjamin Berta losing his entire lead that he has managed to amass so far. 4.6 seconds that he has already had over Viktor Smialek. And in the meantime, we can finish our look in the history because before the current European Formula 3 Championship, or let's say the International Formula 3 Championship, there was the Formula 3 European Championship. That's what I was going to say. That one that basically followed the Euro Series from 2013, or let's say inaugural season came already in 2012 alongside Formula 3 Euro Series, which was becoming defunct back then, only drawing very small grids and very small fields. But it was a championship that went all the way to 2018 before it got merged officially into the current Formula 3 Championship that is racing as a support series in or during Formula 1 weekends. And this was a championship, or the European one, that brought champions like Raffaele Marciello. He was back then on course to get to Formula 1, but never really got there. This is the car number 4 that got in trouble, as I mentioned, and that was Robert Rowe. Driving for Team Hoffman Racing, the teammate of Luca Iannacone. So, Raffaele Marciello got as far as GP2, but never to Formula 1. Then Esteban Ocon in 2014 back then in Lotus colors. So basically in the Renault support program, and to this date he still races for Alpine, but of course from next season he's going to with the American team of Haas. In 2015 it was Felix Rosenqvist. After that, a young Canadian called Lance Stroll. After him in 2017, a young Briton called Lando Norris, and in the final season in 2018, Mick Schumacher. Interesting names, huh? So this was a very, very brief safety car, so we will get going once again in the final minute of the race. Yeah, but the time will be up by the time we reach the start and finish straight, and it is Benjamin Berta restarting to just become the race 2 winner. So Benjamin Berta played it safe, played it smart, played it clever. He didn't want another lap to happen, because this of course reduces any risk of him not taking the victory. So Benjamin Berta coming across the line to win race number 2 of Division 2 ahead of Viktor Smialek, Sandro Zeller, Václav Šafář in 4th on his home soil, Kurt Berlin in 5th from János Magyar, climbing all the way up to 6th in his Formula Master car from Marcel Tobler, Andrei Petropoulos, Roman Robíček and Luca Iannacone completing the top 10. Behind them only Norbert Gröhr, and we had Robert Rowe and Stefan Glaser not taking the checkered flag. So Formula 3 car, one of the few cars actually on the bill that can lap the track here in Brno under 2 minutes. The fastest lap courtesy of Benjamin Berta in 1:55.115 on lap 2. So that's it for the second race of Division 2. Benjamin Berta taking another victory from Viktor Smialek and Sandro Zeller. The gaps, of course, very small as we just about restarted the race to make it around the final couple of corners and drive across the line. So that is it for Division 2. We will now make a small break, and then we'll be back for the final race of the weekend, which will be the race number 3 of Central European Formula 4. But for now on, it is a very warm goodbye.